Wake up with us every morning.
We'll bring you news at its peak.
Accurate and factual report.
Morning Dew, where every sunrise begins with inspiration and fresh perspectives. Wake up with us every morning.
We'll bring you news at its peak.
Accurate and factual report.
Morning Dew, where every sunrise begins with inspiration and fresh perspectives.
The weekend is officially here. Thank you so much for joining us. This is Morning Dew on Dott TV, reaching you from Asaba, the capital city of Delta State. Yes, this morning is a great one. We are happy to be back as we wrap up the week, looking at stories that shaped this week and got us talking. We promise to keep it very engaging, exciting, and fun because it's Fun Friday. I am Ife Arono. Thank you so much for joining us. The ladies are here. Fun Friday.
Good morning, Ife. How are you doing
Good
today?
to see you. You look
It's
good.
nice. I do? Thank you. Thank you. Ooh,
And
I'm
we're
blushing.
black.
You do.
Yes, you
Oh,
picked
yeah, that's
into my
true. We're
wardrobe.
doing black. All right, so viewers, it's nice to have you this beautiful Friday morning. And thank God it's Friday. So
Yeah.
we're going to be rocking it in the house this morning. And you feel free to join us if you want. Come over to the office. But it's another edition.
They're joining us virtually
Morning
now.
Dew. I know,
Of
they
course.
might decide to come over and join us in the studio.
Oh, we have an
Yes.
audience.
Yeah, my name is Priska Abamba, and it's going to be a full-packed Friday. So please make sure you stay with us till the end.
Yes,
Success.
good. Yes. I wanted to say, like, do you guys actually plan?
Yeah, just to break the monotony of black.
Beautiful.
Did you guys peep into each other's
We did.
wardrobe?
No, she did. She peeked
Because I was
into
about
mine.
to ask.
Oh, so that's how you want to do it.
Yes, it's a fruitful Friday this morning, and the weekend is here. Yeah, so thank God that's Friday. All right, so it's another weekend to have fun, relax with the family, go to the gym, go to the spa, treat yourself.
Yes,
I
actually,
am
yeah.
Success Benjamin, and this is Morning Dew on the television.
Yeah, the truth is that this week is celebration weekend here in Delta State. Coming on the heels of the
anniversary.
35th anniversary of the creation of Delta State. So we are hoping that we all have fun as we blaze into a beautiful weekend. We'll bring you the news updates shortly. And of course, Success is standing by. I do hope that you give us okay. All right, yes, we'll bring you newspaper headlines shortly.
Wake up with us every morning.
We'll bring you news at its peak.
Accurate and factual report.
Morning Dew, where every sunrise begins inspiration, perspectives.
morning and welcome to Today in History on Dott TV, where we throw back to important events and personalities connected to this day in previous years. August 28 has witnessed significant moments that shaped Nigeria, Africa, and the wider world. One notable Nigerian born on this day in 1941 was Justice Aloysius Iyorgye Kasinalu, who later became Chief Justice of Nigeria. Interestingly, August 28, 2011 was also his final day in office. In 1969, former President Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe addressed a press conference in London during the Nigerian Civil War, expressing his support for a united Nigeria. On the international scene, August 28, 1963, witnessed one of the defining moments of the American Civil Rights Movement as Martin Luther King Jr. delivered his famous I Have a Dream speech during the March in Washington for Jobs and Freedom. In 1833, the British Parliament passed the Slavery Abolition Act, beginning the process of ending slavery throughout most of the British Empire. Interestingly, August 28 connects Nigeria's struggle for national unity and democracy with the wider global struggle for freedom, equality, and human rights. Those are some of the moments and personalities that made August 28 significant in Nigerian, African, and world history. I am Peace Nwokboro. Thanks for watching.
Wake up with us every morning.
We'll bring you news at its peak.
Accurate and factual report.
Morning Dew, where every sunrise begins with inspiration and fresh perspectives. Wake up with us every morning.
We'll bring you news at its peak.
Accurate and factual report.
Morning Dew, where every sunrise begins with inspiration and fresh perspectives.
You're still watching Morning Dew on Dott TV, and this is news update. Delta State has marked its 35th anniversary with a special praise and thanksgiving service at the Government House Chapel, Asaba. The event brought together political stakeholders, government appointees, and other dignitaries who joined Governor Sheriff Oborewori in thanking God for the state. Priscilla Ifani reports.
Songs of praise and thanksgiving filled the Government House Chapel Asaba as Delta State marked 35 years of its creation. Dignitaries, political stakeholders, government appointees, and top government functionaries joined Governor Sheriff Oborewori to thank God for the peace and progress recorded in the state. In his message, the Government House chaplain stressed the importance of thanksgiving and commended Governor Borewori's administration for sustaining a culture of praise. Governor Borewori expressed gratitude to God for preserving Delta State since its creation from the old Bender State.
Let me first give thanks to Almighty God for His grace, for keeping this state for 35 years since its creation. It has been 35 years of remarkable achievements. By God's grace, we will continue to play our part to make sure that our state's achievements are improved on and increased. For me personally, this anniversary is not merely a celebration. It is an opportunity to reflect on where we have come from, leaving former Bendel to Delta State today.
He also appreciated elder statesmen and past leaders, noting that the peace enjoyed in the state today was built on the foundations laid by previous administrations.
We appreciate those who have contributed to our prosperity and to renew our collective determination to build a greater Delta State. My profound appreciation goes to our political leaders since inception, elder statesmen and women, and all those who have contributed to political stability and democratic development of our dear state. Through their wisdom, sacrifice, dialogue, and commitment to unprecedented peace and development.
The governor pledged to do more for Deltans, with the provisions of critical infrastructure remaining a major focus of his administration.
As the present administration, we accept the responsibility to take gains of the past and build upon them, which we are doing today. But I have promised that I will continue to do more. Our ambition is not simply to maintain what we inherited. Our ambition is to do greater. We are determined to build a Delta State that is more prosperous, more secure in terms of security, investment, and so on, more inclusive, more competitive, and better prepared for the opportunities of the future.
As Delta State marks 35 years of existence, the Thanksgiving service offered an opportunity to reflect on the journey so far, appreciate God for the progress recorded, and look ahead with renewed hope for a greater future. Reporting from Asaba, Priscilla Ifani, Dott TV News.
And 35 years after its creation, Delta State is marking another milestone with residents reflecting on the journey so far, developments recorded, challenges that remain, and expectations for the future. Cynthia Adamnaya completes the report.
Since its creation, Delta State has witnessed various stages of development, with successive administrations implementing projects and policies aimed at improving the lives of residents.
We have turned 35 today. It's God that have made it possible. Like I have said, I commend my predecessors. They have done one or two things, and I have promised that I will consolidate what they have done and do more for Deltans.
For some Deltans, the 35th anniversary is an opportunity to acknowledge progress recorded across sectors, particularly in education, infrastructure, and road construction. They, however, believe the celebration should also provide an opportunity to reflect on areas requiring greater attention.
Masaba here, far back 1987. So before this creation of state, I did this Asaba. Here, when me and you did before now, bush pig, they live here. Animal that they live here when me and you did today. But Delta State event center, that is doing event center. Now bush pig, they live here. That time, if we go up now, we go to fear make wild animal not come out for bush to come and carry us. We need to fear that time. But today, the Delta State achieve well.
One major concern raised by residents is unemployment, particularly among young people and fresh graduates entering the labor market each year. They say the state needs more industries and production-oriented businesses capable of creating jobs and expanding economic opportunities. according to them. While some businesses such as hotels, restaurants, filling stations, plazas, boutiques, and supermarkets have grown, greater investment is needed in manufacturing and production. They believe a stronger industrial base will create employment, develop local skills, and provide young people with more sustainable livelihoods.
So I think in the aspect of job creation that they should look more into the aspect of job creation because the cost of economy now has increased.
For some residents, the next phase of Delta State's development should go beyond physical infrastructure. They are calling for greater attention to industrialization, manufacturing, entrepreneurship, skills development, and job creation, particularly for the state's growing youth population. They believe attracting more investors and establishing production companies could diversify the state's economy and reduce dependence on limited employment opportunity.
When I go see the thing, when I dey think of, I wish it go happen like that. To open company belong to Delta State government.
At 35, Delta State stands at another important point in its journey. While Deltans acknowledge progress in education, infrastructure, and road development, many say the next chapter should place greater emphasis on industrialization, investment, production, and employment. As the state looks to the future, residents hope the 35th anniversary will also usher in greater opportunities, particularly for its growing youth population. Cynthia Adana reporting for Dott TV.
Well, the federal government is stepping up efforts to restore the deteriorating Benin-Abo Road as the Minister of Works, David Umahi, moves against contractors removing asphalt from federal roads without authorization. Umahi gave the directive during an inspection of the highway in Edo State, expressing concern over its condition and the hardship faced by motorists.
The Benin-Abo corridor is a major link between Edo, Delta, and other parts of the country. But for motorists, the road has become a daily struggle with long delays, damaged vehicles, and growing safety concerns. During an inspection of the highway, Minister of Works David Umahi apologized to commuters and acknowledged the urgent need to fix the road.
Of Edo State, this is about my 5th time coming to Edo State because of his commitment in the development of infrastructure and his people. This one governor that is not saying this is a federal road or state road. I am very, very disappointed with this concessionaire. I am very, very disappointed, and I offer apologies. I take full responsibility for the misdeed and for destruction of public assets.
Minister of Works FCT Umahi also raised alarm over the unauthorized removal of asphalt from sections of the highway, describing the practice as deliberate destruction of public infrastructure.
Directing all controllers to arrest any contractor or concessionaire that remove asphalt on our road. This road was not like this before we handed it over to you.
Governor Monday Okpewolo, who joined the inspection, appealed to residents and commuters to remain calm, assuring them that President Bola Tinubu is aware of the challenges on the road.
This one is just about 3-5 days that the cry came out. Today, the Minister of Works is here. Is that not listening, President? Edo people, we are happy with the President. We know the President means well for Edo. Whenever there is problem here, the President always listens. Because Edo State is a gateway to any part of the South-South.
We started with palliative work. So because there are so many bad spots on the road, and we did this palliative work for some months so that we can clear and make this particular road very motorable. Now, we empathize apparently with the people of the state. However, we are wrestling with weather.
For residents and commuters who depend on the road dearly, the demand is simple: immediate repairs and an end to the delays disrupting movement and business activities.
Federal government should do something speedily. That is why the youth are advocating.
The federal government says restoring the road is now an urgent priority, one expected to improve safety, ease transportation, and revive commercial activities along the route. Cynthia Adana reporting from Dott TV News.
Well, that's it on News Update on Morning Dew. We'll return shortly with the rest of the program. Please stay with us.
Wake up with us every morning.
We'll bring you news at its peak.
Our accurate and factual report.
Morning Dew, where every sunrise begins with inspiration and fresh perspectives.
Yes, you're still watching Morning Dew, and this is when we get to take a look at their headlines across national dailies today, starting with Business Day. And we have this one. FTSE return puts Nigerian stocks back on foreign investors' radar. We also have below the bannerhead of the newspaper, presidential hopefuls set power targets beyond Nigeria's grid reality. Poor purchasing power, low subscriber base softens interest in BB Niger. African nations' inflation battle splits as half see July relief. Guso's exit reset button of fresh crisis for Nigerian football. That's a question, and that's on Business Day.
And moving now to the Daily Trust, we have above the masthead, 6 traders killed as vehicle rams into markets in Taraba. Stop bloodshed in the north. Opposition lawmakers tell President Tinubu. Hurdles before National Assembly leaders, and of course the bold headlines, subsidy or no subsidy. Tinubu promises cheaper transport from October 1. And the final headline, trouble in Nigerian football as NFF president and board members resign. That's the much you can take from the Daily Trust.
Now let's take a look at the Nigerian Tribune. We have here above the masthead, end bloodshed, terrorism, banditry in the north. Reps Minority Caucus urge Tinubu. Asks FG to draw $5 billion from external reserves for extraordinary national security intervention. Now, Adelabu ends contest for Oyo APC ticket, laments injustice, urges reconciliation ahead of 2027. Now, the topical story here, economic reforms, experts weigh gains, costs, prospects. Now the riders below. Economy has stabilized. Finance Minister declares, says focus now on conversion of stability to prosperity. Cautions against reform fatigue. Governors reject blame over accountability for fear subsidy removal process. Traffic returns on Oye Ekiti Ilupeju Kaba Road after emergency repairs. INEC publishes particulars of governorship state assemblies candidates today. Campaign begins September 9. On Earth, we have eating tomatoes daily may help decrease fat buildup in the liver. Now we have the G100 gathers ADC, PDP, SDP, others Monday to plot opposition cooperation. And lastly, we have Tinubu in closed-door meeting with APC governors. And that's the much we can take for Nigerian Tribune.
And the next is Daily Times, the Daily Times. And above the bannerhead, we have these 2 headlines. The first is police kill 17 bandits, rescue abducted victims in Zamfara. And on business, Dangote laments 43% petrol imports threatening local refining and force exports. Dangote laments, it's a lamentation. Tantita bags DTN, that's Daily Times newspaper, at 100 Change Maker of the Century award. And there's a rider, Pondi Tompolo, honored for drone tech, US partnership in securing pipelines. We also have on the Daily Times, Tinubu swears in Eniton. Head of Civil Service of the Federation charges him to uphold professionalism. These are the topical stories on the Daily Times.
And to go for more topical stories from the Guardian newspaper, we have above the masthead, 1 billion naira social fund. ADC accuses Tinubu of panic response to subsidy removal plot. NHRC AIN demand arrest of Abuja council bus over vote APC or relocate threat. And we have this headline also comments coming from the Vice President. Turn economic gains into jobs. Higher purchasing power. VP charges NEC. And the major headline there, NFF shops for new era managers amid global accountability probe. We have more headlines coming in. Report claims 7,825 Nigerians abducted, 7.78 billion naira ransom paid in 1 year. Wow, that is so huge. FG raises $1.4 billion for electricity transmission amid vandalism and repayment class crisis. IGP deploys AIG Zone 7 to Niger over abducted worshippers. Hoodlums storm Ondo Assembly amid plots to impeach Speaker. And we have one final one. Nigeria to strengthen defense pacts with Saudi Arabia and Bangladesh. That's how much we can take from the Guardian newspaper.
All right, so let's take a look at the nation. Above the masthead, we have lawyers cry for planning choice of guests at NBA confirm. Nigerian stock market gets global upgrade. Tinubu orders football reform as NFF president resigns. China imports $2.3 billion goods from Nigeria first quarter. And now we have the topical headline here. Federal government states to cut transportation costs from October 1st. Using CNG, we have agreed that cheaper fuel should result in cheaper fares, says Tinubu. And lastly, we have NEC OK's moderation on interest rates. Target is acceleration of growth in agri non-trade services. And that's it for the nation.
And from the nation, we move to the Punch. We have this one just above the banner head. WAEC result crisis worsens as official alleges irregularities and glitches. Beside the masthead, 2027 is in the news. APC opposition clash over federal government's $1 billion household palliative. There's a rider there. Opposition alleges federal government's 2027 vote buying strategy. Tinubu APC governors move to fix campaign list crisis. We'll have these riders. Tinubu governors APC heavyweight hold two-day strategy meeting in Aso Rock. APC may drop controversial chieftains as PCC list undergoes review. That's Presidential Campaign Council list. APC plans more social interventions ahead of 2027 polls after $1 billion scheme. Federal government, states target cheaper transport fares with CNG bus rollout. Suspected thugs foil Ondo speaker's impeachment. These are the trending stories on The Punch.
Away from the Punch, we now move to the Daily Sun this morning, and we have the headline, Enough of Bloodshed. Bishops PFN lament. Subsidy savings. Governors reject accountability blame. Offers CNG as answer to hardship. And we have the rider move to court transport fares and food prices. The bold headline from the Daily Sun this morning, 2027, battle lines drawn. And we have some riders, Tinubu APC governors meet as Atiku, Obi, Makinde, Duke, perfect alliance August 31st. 6 parties open talks on common front. Moving to another headline, 1,638 military police widows get 819 million naira RHI support. Enough of football failures coming from President Tinubu. Abia at 35, Chidoka commends Ojekalo for role in state development. And the final headline, Nigerians pay 12 billion naira ransom as kidnapping feeds terror networks. That's much you can take from the Daily Sun this morning.
Moving away from the Daily Sun, let's take a look at the Vanguard. Above the masthead, we have civil service must own its own reforms, digital tools. The Three Musketeers and the Lone Ranger, Two Great African Families by Ben Moore-Bruce. Fair subsidy, Atiku's third U-turn exposes political posturing. Now the topical story here. NFF president orders board members resign. FG gave conditions to concessionaires on Benin Asaba Highway. US halt all immigrant visa applications amid tightening restrictions. Another story making the headline: despite fall in crude price, petrol hits 1,112 naira per liter. Iran's Hormuz blockade will worsen food crisis in Nigeria, orders US warn. $16 billion power sector expenditure produce evidence against me. Article tax Tinubu. And that's all for the Vanguard.
And the next is our own Empire newspaper. Let's find out what's topical on Empire. Above the masthead, of course, we see photos of previous governors of Delta and, of course, the incumbent Governor Oborewori. And beside that, we see the story: does Sheriff deserve the same 8-year tenure like Ibori, Uduagan, and Okoa? That's a question that Deltans will answer during the 2027 election.
Exactly.
I take responsibility. That's a quote from Works Minister Umahi. He has apologized. Others crack down on Benin Abo Railed saboteurs. Federal government moves to end estimated billing with deployment of 668,000 meters to achieve electricity to active electricity customers. That's on Empire newspaper.
And moving away from the Empire newspaper this morning, we go to the Daily Independent with a bold headline: Boko Haram drives 90% of Nigeria's 7.78 billion naira ransom economy. And another headline coming from above the masthead: TCN estimates national grid capacity at 8,700 megawatts. Tinubu orders comprehensive overhaul of Nigerian football as NFF President Gusau resigns. Translate reforms into jobs, better living standards, Shetima tells governors. ADC knocks federal government's $1 billion social program, calls it belated. Why Nigeria's electric vehicle future is stuck on paper. Additional headlines coming from the Daily Independent: Amnesty criticizes security agencies over failure to arrest Kuje chairman. LASU's doctors gave Lagos government 7 days over unpaid allowance salary arrest. Looks like we have another strike looming. Tinubu APC governors meet days after campaign cancel unveiling. That's so much we can take from the Daily Independent this morning.
All right, so let's take a look at the New Telegraph this morning. We have a topical headline there: Catholic bishops demand action against terrorist sponsors. And we have another story making the headline: FG's $1 billion social fund votes buying in disguise. Terrorism, hand killings now, rapes minority, tells Tinubu. And here we have one above the masthead. Telecom operators record 14 billion naira annual loss on 5,000 fiber cords. And that's all for the New Telegraph.
And of course, that's a wrap on newspaper headlines. We're moving on swiftly for newspaper analysis coming up right now. And we're joined from the coal city. Dr. Ambrose Iwoke joins us right now. Thank you so much, Doc, for being here. Good morning. Yes, good to see you. Doc, please, can you say that again? We couldn't quite hear you earlier.
I think I did mute. Good morning. Good to see all of you again.
Happy to see you. You look great this beautiful Friday.
Good morning, Dr.
Yes,
Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning.
It's nice to have
I want
you
to
on the show
represent
this
the
morning.
center.
Doc, I believe you're dressed beautifully this morning because you heard that subsidy or no subsidy, that we're going to get cheaper transport fares from October. And that's coming from our president, Tinubu. I believe that that's why you're looking this amazing, is it?
I am sorry to disappoint you. That is not so. A foundation that is faulty cannot have a good roofing. The president got it all wrong on May 29, 2023, when during his inauguration speech, he said subsidy is gone. You don't say subsidy is gone when you have not put any sort of alternatives on ground. You don't say subsidy is gone when you have not repaired your refinery, when your refineries are not functioning, when local refining capacity cannot take care of domestic needs of refined products. You don't punish your citizens for your own ineffectiveness. The federal government has been ineffective for so many years because for more than 30 years, they have refused refineries to work. They have refused Nigerians to enjoy the dividends of their natural resources. We are the only OPEC nation, Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, that are producing petrol and exporting that import refined products for their local needs. It's an economic paradox that Nigeria is importing refined products. And because of failure of government to provide us refined products, they introduced subsidy to cushion the effect. The president came and removed it without giving us alternative, telling us that there is a corruption in a subsidy. Why did federal government not fight the corruption in subsidy? Are they not the ones paying people that lift petrol? If the federal government is afraid to fight the cabal in oil subsidy, why would they not punish us for it? Why did they not remove the subsidy in the first place? Or alternatively, you make the refineries work so that we don't need paying for it. And after so many years, they told us that the palliative is to get us CNG buses. They've been talking about these CNG buses for years, and we have not seen anything. So the promises of this government about helping Nigerians to fight against this absurdity in costs that we are paying. Anytime international oil prices increase, Nigeria pay more for it. That is unfair to the citizens. So I don't believe the federal government. Many Nigerians don't believe them. And because they have been saying these things, and that never worked. And even if it works, I think it's a great gift against the election of next year. And after the election, we'll go back to what we used to be, economic measures.
Just before you come in, it's not just the federal government. The state are also coming in, so it's more like a collaboration between the federal and the state, because we're looking at a massive rollout of CNG buses. It's not quite about subsidy alone. It's also about how that the states can spread this across the country. And you can also attest that we see that already happening in Abia State. Governor Alex Oti has been rolling out CNG buses in the state, and that has eased transportation. Don't you think that this time there is hope?
There is no hope. These are cosmetic measures. You don't treat your economic problems this way. That is why we are where we are. We don't take things seriously. These are cosmetic, knee-jerk approaches. There is no conscious effort to do a long-term, prognosis about this thing. We are leaving the sickness, the root cause of sickness. We are treating the symptoms. It's not that you're having malaria, you're treating only headache. The malaria will not go. The headache may give you temporary relief, but the malaria is still there. And that is what the federal government is doing with this fuel issue. How many people will have access to the CNG, even around states? How many? Very few people. What of those who have personal cars? What of the absence of power supply when you want to run a generator? What of other things you need? What of cooking? What of kerosene? What of cooking gas? These are various ways where Nigerians are suffering right now. Where is the cooking gas? What happens to students? We are all on top. Some of our students in university that we are training, and they complain of 1 liter of petrol of kerosene being bought at exorbitant costs. But if we are refining here, we will have byproducts like the kerosene. We will have other things like the bitumen. We'll have petroleum. We have grease. We have petroleum jelly. There are over 100 byproducts you can get by refining locally. We throw that away. And somebody is talking about CNG buses. CNG buses cannot. How many people will it carry? The transport mode of like the tricycles and the motorcycles and the taxis. So how many places can the CNG access? Is it the bad roads in the hinterland? So these are just media dressing, window dressing, and palliatives that are treating symptoms that are not concentrating on the root of the disease.
Dr. Okay, I wanted to chip in before. I'm sure you're aware of the fact that recently in Abuja, the president actually talked about some CNG. We saw some commission in there in Abuja a few days ago, some CNG buses, and we'll also have that happening right here in Delta State last week, where Delta State government also commissioned some CNG buses. Are you aware of that?
All the CNG buses, it's just like I repeat my earlier anecdote, like I'm having malaria, you are giving me paracetamol. And every day you are repeating the paracetamol. It doesn't cure the headache. So no matter how many CNG buses you launch, these are palliatives. Palliatives are temporary solutions. And we removed fuel subsidy 3 years ago. And that CNG initiative was announced 3 years ago. So if we keep on talking about 3 years down the line, we are still talking about the CNG, and the cost of petrol is still high, and the cost of diesel is high, and the cost of kerosene is high, and you are still talking about palliative after 3 years, that means it's not working. So if you like commission all the CNG buses in this world, there are places, the roads, for example, let's take an example in our major cities. Some of the CNG buses are, they are supposed to cross some highways and the rest. What happens to majority of commuters use tricycles in the communities? They use motorcycles. What of the car users? How do we going to take care of that? What of the kerosene issues I've mentioned? How do you take care of that? So these are cosmetic initiatives that do not solve the problem. The problem will be solved when the federal government is ready. And when they are ready is when we see refineries are working, especially all these government-owned refineries in Warri, in Port Harcourt, in Kaduna, working again and making sure that our local needs for refined products are met. No matter the palliative or CNG buses or whatever you bring, and you import refined products for the consumption of your people, you are still living in economic paradox. It won't work.
Okay, Doctor, we saw in one of the papers that the Minister of Finance is saying that Nigeria economy is stable. So, what do you think about that? Would you throw more light on it?
Well, you see, when last week I was on a national TV station where the Minister for Finance and some other people running the financial sector told us that they gave us a scorecard, hailing themselves and giving us statistics. On paper, they can come up with all economic machinations that they want. But we keep on saying that any economic machinations you have on paper that does not translate to economic prosperity for your people, for your citizens, is voodoo economics. That means it's delusional. We are not, you are telling us about these statistics, about ratings, about this, about that, about people becoming trillionaires for a naira that doesn't have value, about how the capital market has, the stock market has increased so trillions. What is the value of the trillions in naira? So I did argue that you cannot be talking about volume of naira that has no value. When we were in Lagos, you go to Cotonou, Benin Republic, to want to buy something those days. When you go, you are like a king, because if it's something of 500,000, they were calling 2 million CFAs for you. But now, CFAs is higher than naira in value, and somebody will come and buy the trillions of naira for me. That has no value. So I don't know where the stability is coming from, but I know that we are losing jobs. There's a multi-dimensional poverty. We are still the poverty capital of the world. Factories are closing up. Naira cannot purchase things it used to purchase in international markets and even locally. House rents are going up. Building materials are on the rooftop. So many things. The naira, you hold naira, it doesn't buy you anything. And somebody tells me that the economy is stable, I disagree with that, because it's not stable. A lot of families are not having economic stability. A lot of families are falling off the cliff. So if your economy does not work with this, then it is not stable. We are not stable. Hyperinflation.
We also know that the finance minister who made that statement that success referred to warned against, he cautioned rather against, he called it reform fatigue. that means that it was anticipated that Nigerians will react and that would say, oh, when is he ever going to come? So we're hoping that this time that his caution becomes the reality, that we would see that, oh, it's just fatigue, and eventually the reforms kick in and we begin to see the result. Now, let's talk about political issues now, because there is a lot of heat in the polity. And following the release of the PCC list, Presidential Campaign Council list, and we're seeing the president calling in APC governors from across the country to a meeting, a 2-day meeting, to talk about it. And some names that are controversial have been pinpointed for possible removal. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know, the issues with this, with the presidency. I don't know how they run things, release lists, and then I don't know whether they clear with the president.
Dr. Quicker, can you
3
hear
years
us?
that president. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, please go on.
Can you hear me?
Yes, please go
Okay,
ahead.
I see over the last 3 years that President Tinubu has taken office, we have noticed a pattern in the announcement of board members, in the announcement of a constitution of governing council of higher institutions, in a lot of appointments that took place. We have seen reversals, embarrassing reversals, where something goes public, the president gets to know, he reverses it. In the appointment of NTA, the Nigerian Television Authority, DGs and executive directors were announced, and it was reversed. So it has been so embarrassing, and it suggests the fact that common official work, administrative work at that level is not properly done. It's not properly done. And then again, we now come here just when we thought that these things were being handled well, and we now come up with bogus list of people, a very wieldy presidential campaign list that have people with people that are having cases with EFCC, people having cases with ICPC, people having fraud cases in court, people that shouldn't be there, and they have made the list. So one begins to wonder, why the black backlash? Or is it that this government, they find it, it's a pattern for them to just flow the kites, gauge public opinion or public pushback before they now do the correct things? Why must they release something, publicly first? Then when the public reacts, they come back and caution. That is not. That is why when you tell me about that means there's a disconnect in administration. We are talking about fake agencies also. We are talking about so many things that are abnormal in this government that we have not heard before. So something is amiss in the administration of this President Tinubu's government. And I think he has to take a proper look at it, because they are causing him a lot of embarrassment. And this is not good for his public image.
Beautiful. Still looking at the issue of politics. Okay, we saw another headline this morning in the papers talking about former PDP governorship candidate Barrister Eyitayo Jegede in Ondo State dumping his party, PDP. Although he's yet to declare the particular party he's crossing over to, he said he will announce that later. But you and I remember that back in the day, he served as the former Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice under Governor Mimiko in Ondo State. And in 2016-2020, he actually fronted as the PDP governorship candidate against Rotimi Akeredolu of the APC, and on both accounts, he lost. So when I saw this morning, I thought about cross-carpeting. He's yet to announce, that's Barrister Jegede, but what do you think about this idea of people crossing over into different parties just to make sure that they clip that ticket they're looking for?
Well, some of the cases is not just even to click a ticket, whatever. It's about political, niceties or political gains, because a lot of politicians are demonstrated in Nigeria that they are not coming there for service. They are coming there, they see politics and public office as a business. And where they come, where they do investment, they feel this place is not favoring them. They try to pitch their tent in other places that would say whether they can recoup some of their investment. So these things are, politics is business, mercantile business in Nigeria. And over since 1999, we came to the Fourth Republic. We saw kinds of cross-carpeting. In the last 15 years, cross-carpeting have been taken to a new dimension. In the last 3 years alone, we saw how many governors, cross-carpeted from the ruling party of PDP that ruled from 1999 to 2015. Immediately, PDP lost in 2015, and APC came on board. A lot of the governors crossed over to APC. And the same thing will happen. If anything happens to APC and they lose, a lot of them will cross over. Or some of them, when the 2027 dust settles on the election, you see some of them crossing, leaving APC because they didn't get what they wanted. So that is the mercantile nature. We have migrant politicians. We don't have politicians anchored on ideology. And that is what it is for a lot of them. So, and there are no repercussions. When even the legislators, when they cross over, they clap for them. And so there are no repercussions for these things. So they have not done anything unconstitutional. It's not. So our constitution needs to be rejigged to ensure that such a thing is unlawful. But so far, it's still lawful. We'll continue to see it.
We are aware, sir, that Labour Party also had this new development that a new law they came up with, that when you are contesting for a particular position in the Labour Party, you are to stick to the party even when you get that office. The moment you decide you're, cross-carpeting, you lose that position because you got the position in the name of Labour Party.
Well, the Labour Party is not Nigerian constitution, so they're just saying that those are just cosmetic statements. It doesn't add, it doesn't hold any, any relevance or any meaning in law. You cannot, if somebody in the last election, a lot of Labour Party people, especially in the legislative houses in various states, but even in Enugu here, a lot of them were elected on the Labour platform, and virtually all of them crossed over. So what are we talking about? The new law in a Labour law cannot, the Labour Party law cannot supersede the laws of the land. So are those ones that are just talking for the cameras? It's not going to work.
Okay, Doctor. Still in politics, we can see that agency has come out to accuse President Bola Tinubu that the FG Social Fund is these are funds, kept aside for vote buying. What can you say to that?
Well, the federal government over the years have an impact.
Okay. Doctor, are you there?
Government has demonstrated. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please go ahead.
Over the years, the federal government has demonstrated that most of the time, this what they call social intervention are just money they give to people that most of the time doesn't have impact on the people. A social protection scheme is deliberate. It's passed into law. If they want to copy, let them copy well. They have to have a database. They have to have where like in America, if you're a single mother and they know how to do it, if you're a retirement person, if you are 18 years, you don't have a job, there are structures in place of the processes and how to recoup the money. But what we see in Nigeria is, for example, we saw Vice President Yomi Osinbajo as vice president going to the market to give to women 10,000 or 20,000 those days. And they always do it close to election. So if you do those things close to election, of course, the perception is that you are actually handing over bribes. You are giving vote buying to people. Why is it always close to the election? Why didn't they do it last year? You can find out that most of the social intervention are not anchored on any sustainable path. Most of them are just they have spent over $1 billion on this, and we have not seen any impact. We keep on borrowing from the World Bank. We keep on borrowing from different sources to do social intervention program, and the country is still the poverty capital of the world. So that means it has no impact. And when you come close to the election period to do this kind of things, of course, the opposition is right to shout foul because it suggests the fact that people might be influenced by whatever you're sharing to them now.
Okay. And Dr. Ibuke, we have also recorded an update regarding the possibility of an alliance among the opposition parties ahead of 2027 election. That one of the papers reported that Obi, Makinde, and Duke are to perfect alliance on the 31st of August. And we have also seen that that day is just a few days away. What are your thoughts? Is this alliance going to come alive? What are the feasibilities, and how destabilizing can that be for the incumbent?
Please, but who is Makinde?
Yes.
Who is Makinde at the national stage? Who is
Oyo.
Donald Duke at the national stage?
Yeah.
So the influence of Donald Duke and Makinde at the national stage cannot actually, it's not anything sustainable for Peter Obi. The alliances we are looking up to is when the mega people come together. So when people
Atiku is
like
also part of it. Atiku Abubakar. ADC.
Well, people that I know want the alliance to favor only him. So it's I don't think it's going to work. So the basic thing is that the opposition, I think it's late for them. That is my candid opinion, for them to begin to do all this kind. Alliances do not mean that you have collapsed your structure. So what kind of alliances are they looking at? The only alliance I know that worked for a very long time is the one that I think ANPP then did with PDP, and they won some states, and then some people from the ANPP came to become, minister like, from the ANPP. Some of the times the alliances are for some states. Maybe they're going to trade states that, okay, if you are strong in this state, support me. If you are not strong in this, let's support you. But again, they are splitting their votes.
Their votes,
and that
yes.
is the it. So they have splitted their votes already, because what happened in 2013 was that a group of opposition parties came together. The ACN, the CNPP, the new PDP guys, a splinter group, and the splinter group for ANPP, and all of them, they came together to form what we know today as APC. That is the kind of alliance that will work. When you collapse all your structure and form one single entity and trade off positions and agree on the structure. But when you have split separate structures, you have run your campaign, you are then on the eve of the election, you are saying you want to form alliances that do not collapse the structures into one. As then it's just for the media. There's nothing going to do.
Yeah,
it's not going to
hold water. Finally, on sports, are you worried about what's going on in Nigeria's sports space? We've seen the resignation of the president of the NFF as well as board members, and the president ordering a reform of Nigeria's football. What are your thoughts?
Well, for a very time, I think this is one of the policy or directive that I would say I really commend the president for. Because most of the time when I'm on air like this, I've always been accused of always going the other way. But this is a very, very good decision. Our football federation has been immersed in all sorts of controversy in the past. Remember the Amos Adamu and his problem with FIFA those days. Remember where we say, where is the money? A lot of money is being pumped into NFF, but where is the result? We don't have football academies in Nigeria that are run properly. Where is the football leagues that we use? Our football leagues are look at South Africa, they're doing good football leagues, and then here we are, nothing. The scouts, the NFA does not play significant role in scouting Nigerian talents for international football, as other federations do. So many other federations take it as very serious business. They go negotiate deals for their young talents to get clubs in Europe and other places. But here, nothing happens. Our stadium, they are not in good shape. There's so many things. They are not attracting endowment sponsorships. We hear of all kinds of corruption. We see sponsors pulling out because of some incongruous terms and conditions. And it has been like that for many years. And Nigeria is such a talent it's a pool of resource for football, and we are not utilizing it. So we hope that this thing that has happened will usher in a new set of management for the NFF that will really take Nigerian football to where it ought to be, and then make sure that we treat football as a serious business that has become globally.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ambrosi Boke, the chairman of the Guild of Public Analysts in Enugu State chapter. Thank you so much, sir, for being with us. We wish you a beautiful weekend.
Thank you so much, Doctor. It's been an insightful session.
Thank you very much for having me on the show this morning.
Enjoy your
and it's all guests.
Have a beautiful
female
weekend.
affair today.
Yes, so
I say something affair today.
thank you so much for breaking the monotony. All right, you're still watching Morning Dew, and we do hope that you had a great time listening to that conversation. Please drop in the comment section your reactions to all the issues or any of the issues you find interesting. We'll read it out perhaps in the course of our conversation this morning. We're not done. Morning Dew has so much more for you. Up next, we'll bring you some energy from the world of sports. Stay with us.
Wake up with us every morning.
We'll bring you news at its peak.
Accurate and factual report.
Morning Dew, where every sunrise begins with inspiration and fresh perspectives.
Good morning and welcome to Today in History on Dott TV, where we throw back to important events and personalities connected to this day in previous years. August 28 has witnessed significant moments that shaped Nigeria, Africa, and the wider world. One notable Nigerian born on this day in 1941 was Justice Aloysius Iyorgye Kasinalu, who later became Chief Justice of Nigeria. Interestingly, August 28, 2011 was also his final day in office. In 1969, former President Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe addressed a press conference in London during the Nigerian Civil War, expressing his support for a united Nigeria. On the international scene, August 28, 1963, witnessed one of the defining moments of the American Civil Rights Movement as Martin Luther King Jr. delivered his famous I Have a Dream speech during the March in Washington for Jobs and Freedom. In 1833, the British Parliament passed the Slavery Abolition Act, beginning the process of ending slavery throughout most of the British Empire. Interestingly, August 28 connects Nigeria's struggle for national unity and democracy with the wider global struggle for freedom, equality, and human rights. Those are some of the moments and personalities that made August 28 significant in Nigerian, African, and world history. I am Peace Nwokboro. Thanks for watching.
From Harrison. That is a massive world record. Martinelli goes, boys, out of his goal. Martinelli! This will be 3 for
Yes, this is the world of sports on Morning Dew, and Anthony Uche is here, taking us into it.
Good morning.
How are you
morning,
today,
Anthony.
Well, I am here, like you said, and of course, I was listening on my way in, and then you were talking with Dr. Iboke about the NFF, and that's where we start because there's really only one news out of Nigerian football right now, and it is the NSC, the National Sports Commission, and of course the president now getting involved in the reforms and the restructuring that is about to take place at the NFF. Well, first things first, yesterday, at around midday yesterday, the president, or now the past president of the NFF, Mr. Ibrahim Musa Gusso, resigned, or he announced his resignation at a press conference, which he said he had resigned for himself, and he also advised other members of his board, which includes Mohammed Sanusi, his assistant or vice president, to also resign. for what he said is the greater good of Nigerian football. And then after that, the NSC took charge, also promoted, as the man you can see on your screen right there, Dr. Emmanuel Ikpeme, who was the former Deputy Secretary General, to now become the Secretary General, which makes him, in the current circumstance, the highest ranked person. He calls the shots now at the NFF by being the Secretary General. And one of those shots he called was to basically nullify the Nigerian Professional Football League, the body that is in charge of professional football in the country. The president and the vice president, Mr. Benga Odugbele, and his assistant Davis Naomi, have now been sacked, and that is just another step in what the term the reconstruction or the restructuring of Nigerian football. But I'd like to say one thing. I'd like us to be careful.
Okay.
The involvement of the president, the National Sports Commission, which is a federal government-owned agency, is not particularly as good as a lot of people will see it. Yes, I understand that Nigerian football needs restructuring. Nigerian football needs
drastic reforms.
Yes, exactly, because of how underperforming the NFF has been for the last, you could say 15 years, because I think this includes the time Amaju Pinnick was the president of the NFF. A lot of things have been going wrong, but they've had adequate cover for the lapses then. But now it's almost like everything has been laid bare, especially with the failure of the Super Falcons to even book a slot at the 2027 Women's World Cup, which is unheard of, because since that tournament started in 1991, the Super Falcons has always been there for every single edition. So I think that was the last straw that broke the very weak camel's back already. The camel's back, I think, has been weak for a long time, but it just broke now. And for me, like I said, yes, I understand all of those things that have to happen, but there are due processes to be followed. And it looks like the president getting involved is jumping the gun, which could ultimately end in disaster for Nigerian football. Because if FIFA do not like what they see, Nigeria could go in for it.
When you say due process, what could have been done differently?
So I say, for instance, the people who resigned, it's not enough to resign. That probe that the EFCC and the ICPC started has to be concluded, and punishments have to be laid out for people who defaulted in that process. And then after that, an election should be held. An NFF Congress should be called and an election be held in that Congress. That is how football does its thing. That is how next year, for everybody who is not happy with Gianni Infantino right now as the president of FIFA for all of the bad things, in my opinion, that he has done, nobody can say anything about that. That General Congress has to be held in March next year before anything can happen. So you just don't come out of the blue and uproot people, But in this case, I think the saving grace somewhat is that this is a resignation.
Yeah.
They were not sacked by the government. Yes.
Okay.
Miss
But is
Ibrahim
it
Gusso
voluntary?
was
Do
not.
you
Yes.
think it's voluntary? Do you?
Yes.
You think so?
Yeah. I think it's just him
Or is
waking
it
up to the
just
fact that.
pressure, response to pressure.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, he gave the press conference saying that he chose to resign. So whatever it is, whatever happened behind the scenes, what we know is that he tendered his resignation, right? So the pressure and everything that has come before that, I absolutely understand. Sometimes people's buttons get pressed from inside, but on the outside, we just see them make statements. And the statement, if FIFA looks into that statement, what it will see is a resignation. It will not see somebody getting sacked by a government which would not have sat well with FIFA. So what I'm trying to say in essence is, I get it. The due process, which in my opinion is calling for that General Congress of the NFF. People come, candidates stand out, and then they get scrutinized and all of that. Then the Congress members vote for their preferred candidates. Then we get a new NFF president. But why I said standards and examples should be set with these people who are already currently being probed is that whenever an example is set with them, whoever goes into the glass house next knows that they are not safe.
Oh, yes.
That's why I said yes. So you can do your Congress and elect whoever you want to elect, but be sure that if you go in there, there will be consequences for misdemeanor and mismanagement of funds and all of that stuff. So that's why I said the ones that are already in the nets of the ICPC and the EFCC have to be adequately dealt with, so that whoever is going in there now knows there is no immunity for being an NFF president.
You have to
that
do
is
your
not
job.
yes, that is not an umbrella to shield you from the consequences of being a bad leader. So, but we'll see how it goes with the NFF. Like I said, a lot of been happening recently. Ibrahim Musa Gusso, the president, now resigned. Dr. Emmanuel Ikpeme has now become the general secretary, which means he's the first in command now. He is in charge of Nigerian football for the meantime. I'll bring you up this as they develop, because this is still a developing story. You saw the statement from the president, which I don't want to delve into because it's not supposed to be. The president should not be getting involved in football. It is an interference. It is a government interference, and FIFA Nigeria has also been banned for this in the past. In the last 20 years or so, Nigeria got punished by FIFA because of involvement of the government into Nigerian football. So it seems as though people who are there now have not learned their lesson. So I don't know.
We forget things
quickly. We move on too quickly from things, and we forget consequences. And that's why they say about history: if you do not know it, it keeps repeating itself until you find
I
out.
believe you have other updates for us.
Yes, another update. The second one is mostly Moses Itoma and Filip Hegovic. One of the biggest boxing fights of the year will go down tomorrow night by 10 p.m. at the O2 Arena in London. And that young man you can see there is Moses Itoma. He has Nigerian heritage, quite all right. He has Nigerian decency, but to me, he's not Nigerian. He's British. Let's not do that thing we did all over again with Anthony Joshua and all of that stuff. Moses is British and he is British. He should be left as British, whether he wins on Saturday or he loses. But the interesting thing about him, if he wins on Saturday, he will become the IBF heavyweight champion of the world, which means that he will become the second youngest heavyweight champion of the world after the great Mike Tyson did so, as a 20-year-old. Moses is just only 21. He just became 21 a few months ago. Awesome. So he was very close to this record, but unfortunately he cannot break that record now. So it means he could only settle for the second youngest heavyweight champion of the world. And when you understand what I mean, you understand that for you to be 20 and have the build of a heavyweight, because sometimes people go through the weatherweight, the featherweights, and the lightweights before they eventually become heavyweights. But for Moses to be only 21, and he is already in the heavyweight boxing category, and you look at the graphic that was displayed there, his last 5 fights, Moses is unbeaten. And not just that he's unbeaten, nobody has taken him past the 3rd round.
Indomitable.
Nobody has taken Moses past the 3rd round. He knocks everybody he's come up against. Jermaine Franklin, Dylan White, Mike Balogun, anybody he comes up against has always gone down. Not just that, but also within the first 3 rounds. So he has a lot of power in those muscles of his. And for Filip Hegovic, very, very good as well. His only loss so far, as you can see there, was to Daniel Dubois in 2024. So he's up against a formidable opponent. We'll see what happens tomorrow night, and then by Monday we'll definitely have a new IBF heavyweight champion of the world, but because the belt is vacant, so whoever wins tomorrow night will become the new IBF.
You're actually owing me a story. I was looking forward to you talking about our very own Toby Amusan, whose record just got broken by
we have just a short time, so he needs to rush through the last story you have for us today.
Yeah, just quickly, it's just about the fact that league football continues this weekend, and the German Bundesliga is the only one who has not started yet of all the top 5 leagues in the world, and that they will start today with FC Bayern, the champion, defending their title or starting the title defense against Stuttgart in what promises to be an entertaining game.
Awesome.
Tomorrow on the sports lane, 4:30 to 5:30.
I'm really surprised
everything
Moses just turning.
Thank you so much, Anthony Uche, for the updates you brought us. We look forward to more. Yes, this is still Morning Dew. We'll be right back with something interesting on the other side. Let's breathe and be back.
Wake up with us every morning.
We'll bring you news at its peak.
Accurate and factual report.
Morning Dew, where every sunrise begins with inspiration and fresh perspectives.
quick question for you. Have you counted money today? Well, even if you haven't, well, this is the segment where we get to talk about money, business, and more.
If
Business
you're owing
boss.
me.
Business boss with the business boss herself, Louisa Asidi. Welcome.
Thank you.
I'm
Good
owing you
morning.
money to count.
Of course.
Louisa, how are you today?
I'm very fine.
And you came looking all
black.
Yes.
Yes, it's only success that's in red.
So we know those
You need to get some
who go out for
permission.
ladies Friday hangouts
Yes,
today.
yes.
Yeah. All right. So bring us up to speed on what's topical.
Okay, I have a couple of stories. Well, first of all, let's start at the petrol station. The Dangote refinery has raised its petrol price again. That's the second increase in just 7 days. Wholesale marketers now pay about 1,200 naira a litre, up from 1,185. And in parts of Abuja, drivers are already paying between 1,230 and almost 1,300 naira for a litre. We were told a major local refinery would finally steady our prices. And for a while, Dangote's fuel really was cheaper than imported petrol. But in July, local refinery output reduced by about a fifth. And quietly, imported fuel started creeping back in to fill the gap. So the picture this morning is a moving one. More local refinery, yes, but prices are still rising. And as we know, fuel is never just fuel. It's transport. It's the market woman's tomatoes. It's the cost of running a small shop. When this one number moves, almost everything else moves also. Now, from the fuel tank to your phone, the company that sells you airtime may soon want to hold your savings and lend you money. MTN, Africa's biggest telecom operator, says it's exploring banking licensing across some of its markets. Its chief executive, Rafael Mupita, put it plainly this week. The big growth of the future, he says, it's in lending. Now, MTN already offers loans, but through partnerships with banks. And a banking license would change that. It would let the company take your deposits and lend money directly. And that puts it head to head with names you already know. OPay, MoneyPoint, the apps that turned your phone into bank. For you and for me, more competition there could mean easier credit, more options, and even sharper deals. But one word of caution. This is in the early days. MTN is exploring, not launching. No new bank has opened its doors just yet. Still, it tells you where the money is heading. In Nigeria and right across Africa, the future of finance is being built on your phone, in your hand. And finally, this morning, closer to home, literally, have you noticed how many luxury short-stay apartments have popped in private residencies? Properties that once housed families now booked by the night. A property expert writing in a column that's been widely shared calls it the short-letification of Nigerian real estate. And he argued that when homes become hotels, there's less available property for the people who actually live and work in the city, and fewer homes means higher rents. But there is still good news, and that is that same expert says the boom may have already peaked. Too many apartments chasing too few guests, and the running cost, the diesel, the cleaning, the platform fees quickly eats the profits. Some shortlets now cost as much as a hotel without even being one. For a while, the smart money changed the nightly rate. However, this morning, a steady long-term tenant is starting to look like the better deal. And that, for the rest of us hunting for somewhere to live, might just be what we're looking for and a good news.
Interesting thoughts there. Well, let's start with the first one. 43% fuel import. We saw it on the dailies, and Dangote lamenting. How does that? I thought he was in the mix to balance up things so that prices will not, because he's refining locally. But we're having for almost half, 50% of all our fuel coming in from abroad. So how does that impact prices? Talk to us about what's going on between local refining, imports, and then what do we need to do to reverse and maybe do more refining locally? Perhaps take it up to 80%.
Okay, first of all, Dangote refinery is the only major refinery we have here that is producing most of our oil. It's not enough. No matter how much the output becomes, it's still not enough. Okay. So that is why the government, they had to fall back to importing fuel.
Okay.
And when you import fuel, what happens?
The
You have to think
prices,
of
yes.
the prices, exchange rates,
Mhm.
and all those things. And that affects the prices of so many other things, not just fuel itself, so many other things. Let's say you want to transport your goods as a market woman, you want to transport your goods to the market. How would you do that? You need fuel to transport your goods. And you will add the price of the money you used to buy the fuel, the price of your transport, everything, even the price of cultivating that product that
They all
you
add
are
up as
selling.
production costs.
Add up, yes. And then you sell it, everything at a higher rate. So
No,
it's affecting everything.
What I'm asking is it a problem of refining capacity that we don't have enough refining
We don't
capacity
have
locally?
enough-
That's why we have
yes.
to sell our crude.
Yes, we don't
and
have
then
enough
import
refining
finished or
capacity.
for now.
It's just
until our
Dangote.
refineries start working.
Yes, it's just Dangote.
Okay.
Like if, I don't know, 20 years back, we were able to bring out so much fuel that would last more than a decade. But right now, we don't have enough. Our oil wells are dried up. They have dried up. So most of them have, actually. So it's just Dangote. We need to work on our local refinery other than Dangote refinery so that we have enough output for refined fuel
Locally, that's yes.
that would actually bring the prices down.
Okay, let's move away from the issue of petrol and refining. Let's move to your last story, talking about short-let apartments. And that is actually becoming rampant,
Yes.
not only in Nigeria, but other countries of the world also, because that brings us to the issue of Airbnb. When the whole Airbnb issue started, we had it happening in other countries of the world. But then we are having it here in Nigeria where owners of property do not give out their property or for yearly accommodation like they usually do. Some of them reserve some of these things for a short-let stay. So when you're coming in, you could just go online, Google it, or Gigi, and all these other things, and then you see some short-let apartments. You could stay for like a week, a month, and then you get out of that city. I think that might also contribute to inflating the cost of accommodation. Don't you think so?
Yes, it
Yes,
can.
it
That's
does.
very much
Because
what you
even
Yes.
yeah, because even those persons that needed this apartment to stay, it becomes very expensive for them to afford it. So it's not bothered to, instead of getting or the possibility of getting a better apartment in the city, you're going very far to get an apartment that you can actually afford as a worker or as a trader or so. So this rise of apartments turning short-lets into hotels and all, it's really telling a lot on our
Yes, it
It's
is.
actually simple because when you stay for a short time in an apartment, it's likely to cost more.
Yes, it
Yes,
is.
but when you're staying for a full year,
year.
the cost reduces somewhat.
Yes.
So for the owner, it is more profitable
Yes.
to do short-let.
Yes, it is.
But for the rest of us who are trying to get a place for work, and then we know
It's
how
on the
much
high
we're earning,
costs.
it's on the high side.
But
And-
do you see it as opportunity, creating opportunity, business opportunity for property
could,
owners?
It could be a business opportunity for them because getting a high amount of profit. They are. But when you think of what is happening to the customers, the reality of
the
it,
average Nigerian,
it's alarming.
it's not
Guys
helping
digging
the housing
holes into
issue.
their pockets.
Yes, and that is why social housing will always come back to social housing. How the government can help to make housing more affordable by building
people.
social welfare, for social welfare for workers and all of that to reduce the pressure on the
Yes.
houses that are available. Lastly, I don't want us to start talking about brand names because you did mention a particular brand, but the time that this particular telecom service provider began to give the provision to borrow airtime, and it became something, they normalized it.
Yes.
We should have known that something else was coming.
Yes.
They were trying something, and possibly they've seen the stats from that people are more inclined to borrowing because the economy is not smiling. And we also have loan apps that have gone ahead of them, practice this borrowing thing, and then they have a lot of money. So why don't we also veer into banking? So it tells you that the capitalists are not waiting.
Yes, they are.
They are pushing.
They are
for more.
seizing all the
First of all,
opportunities.
started testing the waters by trying to tell you,
see
you can borrow this.
pay back at your pace. Well, Louisa, thank you for always bringing us up to speed on what's trending. We look forward to having you back next week.
No problem.
Yeah, so keep
Thank you,
bringing the
Louisa.
juice from
Okay.
the world of business.
Enjoy your weekend, Louisa.
Same to you.
All right, Morning Dew will Return shortly with a conversation. Remember, we're still celebrating Delta at 35, and we're not stopping yet. It's a weekend-long celebration, so we'll have a conversation coming up next. Please engage with us in the comment section. Tell us how you feel about Delta at 35. If there are concerns, tell us, and we'll read it out during the conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Wake up with us every morning.
We'll bring you news at its peak.
Accurate and factual report.
Morning Dew, where every sunrise begins with inspiration and fresh perspectives.
Good morning and welcome to Today in History on Dott TV, where we throw back to important events and personalities connected to this day in previous years. August 28 has witnessed significant moments that shaped Nigeria, Africa, and the wider world. One notable Nigerian born on this day in 1941 was Justice Aloysius Iyorgye Kasinalu, who later became Chief Justice of Nigeria. Interestingly, August 28, 2011 was also his final day in office. In 1969, former President Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe addressed a press conference in London during the Nigerian Civil War, expressing his support for a united Nigeria. On the international scene, August 28, 1963, witnessed one of the defining moments of the American Civil Rights Movement as Martin Luther King Jr. delivered his famous I Have a Dream speech during the March in Washington for Jobs and Freedom. In 1833, the British Parliament passed the Slavery Abolition Act, beginning the process of ending slavery throughout most of the British Empire. Interestingly, August 28 connects Nigeria's struggle for national unity and democracy with the wider global struggle for freedom, equality, and human rights. Those are some of the moments and personalities that made August 28 significant in Nigerian, African, and world history. I am Peace Nwokboro. Thanks for watching.
up with us every morning.
We'll bring you news at its peak.
Accurate and factual report.
Morning Dew, where every sunrise begins with inspiration and fresh perspectives.
On August 27th, 1991, Delta State was one of the states created by a military head of state, Babangida. And today, we are still celebrating, of course, rising from yesterday when there was a church service at the chapel inside the Delta State Government House here in Asaba, where the governor, his wife, political appointees, and indeed well-wishers, and thank God for 35 years of Delta State as a state of Nigeria, fully prepared to navigate the future and the empowerment prospects of its people. Today we're still celebrating, and we're joined in the studio by a legislator as far back as the old Bendel. He is a politician and elder statesman, and of course, the protein chairman of Delta Obedient Elders Council. He is a publisher, an author, a social commentator, and human rights activist. We have in the studio Chief Chris Biose. It's good to have you.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
Happy to see you.
And happy to see you.
Welcome, sir. Very happy to see you.
You're welcome, sir.
Thank you.
I want to interpret the glow on your face to say that you're happy that Delta is 35. Talk to us about how you felt yesterday.
Thank you very much indeed. I'm happy that Delta is 35. And it is befitting at this moment to look back and say, how did it all start? We're here in Asaba. As far back as 1884, Asaba became the headquarters of the National African Company, which was a British company interested in exploring the Niger and the Upper Niger. And by 1860, that company was given a royal charter by the British government to administer what was then known as the Niger territories. In other words, the Royal Niger Company owned and administered what was called the Niger territories. Fast forward to 1900, the British government bought what was then known as the Niger territories from the Royal Niger Company at a cost of about £865,000. Fast forward to 1914, when the British government amalgamated what was then known as the colony and protectorate of southern Nigeria, which consisted of areas that had been conquered or acquired by the Royal Niger Company south of the Niger, with the protectorate of northern Nigeria, which was most of the areas in the northern part of Nigeria, amalgamated, and we then had the protectorate of Nigeria. Sure. Now, as a result of which was, this protectorate was governed entirely by the British, was the colonial protectorate. Fast forward to 1960, as a result of political consciousness, which started as far back as 1920, when some educated Africans started to agitate for what was then called self-government. Okay. Then from 1922, the first election was held in Lagos, Calabar, and one or two other places, based on the amount of property that you had. Okay. And one of the leaders was a man called Herbert Macaulay, that we recognize today as the father of Nigerian nationalism.
That's right.
So at independence in 1960, we had three regions. The northern region, the western region, and the eastern region. As a result of further agitation for creation of states, the Midwestern region was created in 1963, consisting of the present Edo and Delta states.
Okay.
In 1976, when General Gowon created states, 12 states, Midwestern region remained. And later it was split into, it was then known as Bendel, but the territorial area remained the same.
Okay.
Fast forward to what you have just mentioned.
Yeah.
The creation, the split of Edo and Delta states. And that is how Delta State came to be.
That was
Yes,
on
that's
August 27th,
beautiful.
1991.
Thank you
Okay,
very
let's
much.
backtrack a bit to the time when you were a legislator in the old Bendel. Talk to us a bit about, before we move forward to today, let's find out
Thank you very
what
much.
was it like?
Thank you very much. In fact, I was not a legislator.
Okay.
I was commissioner in the Teaching Service Commission.
Oh.
Even though, before I became commissioner, I actually contested election
Okay.
to the then Bendel State House of Assembly.
Okay, okay.
Now, in Bendel State, that was 1979.
Okay.
Now, let me not go back to what happened immediately after independence in 1966 and so on. The challenges and the violence that resulted in the Nigeria-Biafra war and so on. But let's just start with 1979.
Okay.
In 1979, that was the return to military, from military,
Yes.
because the military took over in 1966.
Yes.
Overthrew the first civilian administration of Prime Minister Abubakar Tafawa Balewa and remained in power for about 30 years. So in 1978 to be precise, September,
Okay.
5 political parties were formed, namely the Unity Party of Nigeria,
UPN.
the National Party of Nigeria, the People's Redemption Party, the Greater Nigerian People's Party. You see? So 5 political parties were formed. And it happened that the Unity Party of Nigeria won election in what was then called the Lobo State, 5 states.
Okay.
Lagos, Oyo, Ogun, Bendel were 5 states. All the states had not been split at that time.
Okay.
And that was where I played a role.
Oh.
And the policy or the ideology, because from our own perspective, when you talk of development, there are various concepts of development. You can talk of the material concept of development,
Okay.
whereby, like what we are seeing now, most of the governments sell crude oil and gas, build one thing or the other, and call it development. That was not our concept of development in the Unity Party of Nigeria. Prior to the formation of the party, the leader of the party at that time, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, in fact, he started this in 1958, before the federal elections in 1959, assembled a number of intellectuals,
Okay.
and said, this is a black colonial contrast at 1958.
Mm.
How do we break out of our colonial status and embrace the modernizing world? And as at that time, he arrived at 4 things that needed to be done.
Okay.
That was 1, freedom from colonial rule. That's a nation, a group of people under bondage will not be able to exercise the initiative to develop.
That's right.
Then, freedom from ignorance.
Okay.
That an ignorant society that is not conscious of the trends in developed world cannot embrace development. Freedom from disease. That a society that is pressed down by disease cannot achieve
progress.
Then freedom from want, that is economic.
Okay.
In other words, these were the pillars as at 1959 to 1960. Now, so after these 13 years, we now had what we call the 4 cardinal programs. of the Unity Party, namely free education.
Okay.
We call it universal access to education,
All right.
health,
Okay.
urban and integrated rural development. In fact, it was repackaged.
Yes.
And then, full and gainful employment.
Okay.
So based on these policies, because as far as we are concerned, practical development of administration should arise from your concept of what you think development should be.
Yeah,
It's not something haphazard. It's not something you just wake up and write, I want to do this, I want to do this. It must derive from an ideology of the kind of society that you want to build. Okay. So that was how we approached development during our time. And I played my part in the education sector because I had taught in the University of Lagos for some years. I taught at the Department of Sociology in the University of Lagos. So I was given that opportunity to serve in the education sector as the first commissioner.
Okay.
The idea of a commission is to give the body a free hand to administer. Because in politics, there's a lot of political interference.
Yes.
So some bodies are given free hand without direct political interference. So the idea of a commission. So I was the first commissioner, Teaching Service Commission. And I particularly served in the administration of the Unified Teaching Service. That entailed the primary, secondary, teacher training, and at that time, it included colleges of education. Now, we had, before the beginning, before we take off, the people that Professor Amblosai was the professor, who was the governor, brought a number of his colleagues from the University of Benin to sit down at in Benin, to domesticate the policies that have been outlined at the national level.
Okay.
How do we apply it in Bendel State? So that was how they arrived that we need a commission, we need this, we need this.
Okay.
So what did we do? We found that after 13 years of military rule, and before that, the government in power at that time was not particularly interested in education. That there were hundreds of thousands and millions of young people who were not in school and who were desired to go to school. And it was so throughout what they've done in the global states, which was the old Western region. How do we get these people into school? So that was the challenge.
Okay.
So within a few weeks, in fact, of his inauguration, he announced the program of educational access to everybody.
Okay.
And we were applied to admit everybody into school.
Wow.
And we had the challenge of building schools. Now, you are very young, you might not have known what was known as Jakande schools. We're just every affordable school in Lagos and Jakande built something.
Yes.
You might have heard of it.
Yes.
They were laughing at them that the schools were not fine, but the children were learning.
Okay.
So here in Bendel, present Delta, we encouraged some communities. We collaborated with communities. And we found that communities were very willing to provide
land.
Not only that, even buildings.
Oh, also. Okay.
Some were started in town halls and were able to accommodate a lot of, almost all the students. And we have a policy of 100, not only admitting everybody that was willing to go to school, but 100% transition from primary to secondary. Okay. Nobody was allowed to be left out of school in the old Bendel State under our government.
Wow.
How do we finance this? Let me tell you what we did, what our administration did. Now, when we say free, all educational materials were free, including exercise books, textbooks, ruler, pencil, pen, everything. How did we do it? We found that it was cheaper to order these things in bulk. That if you are an author, instead of selling one, in 5 years, you are not sure how many you are going to sell. We just tell you we are going to print 1 million copies.
Okay.
Take 1 million naira. You'll be happy.
Okay. Economies of scale. Large scale
So
production.
we got printers to print these books already existing in large quantities. If it's from Macmillan, we get Macmillan to print the millions throughout the local states.
Wow. Interesting times you had there. Yes.
So all our duty now was to distribute this material. And children were happy and parents were happy.
Yes.
The same thing applied in the health sector. And let me tell you, our analysis by our experts showed that even when the children were paying fees, the amount of money realized by the government was infinitesimal. And was just a little fraction of, because educational include both, capital and current expenditure.
Recurrent, yes.
And recurrent expenditure. We found that the total collection before we came was just a minor, percentage of what we actually spent. Now, educational program was extremely successful and we succeeded.
Okay.
Let me tell you the challenge we faced, because I was at the center of it.
Okay.
Now, prior to 1979, General Olusegun Obasanjo, who was a military dictator between after Murtala, 1976 to 1979, had established what we call national policy on education.
Yeah.
And Chief Obafemi Awolowo had established universal access to education in the old Western region in 1955.
Yes.
I'm a product of Awolowo's free education.
Okay. Oh.
They call us Awolowo's children.
Wow.
So I had the opportunity to implement it again.
Wow.
And coming to our own program, Obasanjo had extended the universal access to education to the national.
Okay, national policy on education.
Correct. Not only in one state or one region, but to national.
Wonderful.
And under this universal primary education national, the federal government was responsible for paying primary school teachers and teacher training colleges.
Wow.
So it was relatively easy for us to manage the universal primary education in the old Bender state.
I will beg your permission,
Yeah,
sir.
we'll have to take a break now. We'll take a short break. But when we're starting this conversation, I did know that we're going into a classroom.
Exactly.
It feels like, and we're gladly your students. We'll be right back shortly. This is still Morning Dew. Stay with us.
Wake up with us every morning.
We'll bring you news at its peak.
Accurate and factual report.
Morning, where every sunrise begins with inspiration and fresh perspectives. Wake up with us every morning.
We'll bring you news at its peak.
Accurate and factual report.
Morning Dew, where every sunrise begins with inspiration and fresh perspectives.
You're welcome back, and we're still discussing Delta at 35, people, politics, and prospects. We have still in the studio politician and elder statesman, Chief Chris Biose. Thank you so much for the insights you gave us earlier,
I'm happy to be here.
Yes, as you briefly wrap up your thoughts, your previous thoughts, can we bring it up to what's presently happening, Delta at 35, your thoughts on where we are now as a state?
Thank you very much. Briefly, concluding on what I was saying, the challenge we faced was that When the National Party of Nigeria government and federal level found that we were successful, they abrogated the UPE.
Oh.
They now transfer the payment of salaries for primary and teacher training colleges to states, and then we had problem. However, fast forward to 1991. At that time, I had retired. I was no longer in service.
Okay.
I was observing from outside. So I found that this Asaba that we are now became the capital of the new state.
Okay.
And there was a lot of controversy from some people that why should Asaba be, and so on and so forth. And that created a lot of
Dichotomy.
challenge to the development of the place.
Okay.
Now, the military, governors, administrators that were appointed, they tried. I can tell you that the military administrators were the ones that made this what's it called? Most of these roads that you see now in Asaba. Because Asaba was a village
Yes.
35 years ago. Open space, quiet, peaceful, lovely. Now, these secretariats that you see along, I don't know the name of
The
those.
express?
Yes,
Actually not. So.
The one along the Miriam Babangida Road?
No. Those ones are the achievements of the civilian administrations.
Oh.
Okay.
I wanted to identify what the various administrations did. So the civilian government, the military people, quickly built those new secretariat. And when Asaba was made capital, a lot of people were now returning from various parts of the country to come to the estates.
Okay.
And one of the challenges was that there was no house, sufficient built houses. So a lot of people were coming from their villages. So as an administrator, one of the things that arose at that time was punctuality at work.
Okay.
But because people were coming from their places, punctuality was a problem.
Okay.
There was no accommodation. So the housing problem started right from that time.
Okay.
But like I told you, the military people, the military administrator built that secretariat.
Okay.
And the first civilian administration, most of the schools that we built in 1979, most of them were just in open spaces. And one of the achievements I saw was to fence those schools.
Okay.
In 1979, in the old Bendel, between 79 and 83, when Buhari took over in December 31, we had built 661 schools. So the issue now was to consolidate and build up the schools.
Okay.
Fence them and then administer them.
Okay.
So,
Can we look,
yes.
a little more broadly, because we don't have that much time.
Okay.
We know that yesterday there was a church service at the Delta
chapel.
State Government House Chapel,
A
celebrating
celebration
Delta at 35.
35.
Looking around, not just Asaba, the entire Delta State, given the wealth, the endowments, the blessings that Delta State has enjoyed over time, with the quality of people that have served in the capacity of governor, all this, are you satisfied? Would you say that what you started, the fight that you started with those who had that ideology, to build a greater Old Bendel, that it has been sustained and possibly realized to an extent in the present day Delta?
Thank you very much. I would like to be mild in my criticism.
Okay.
I would not like to be so harsh because the orientation is totally misplaced. My understanding of what is going on is that the administration from 1990 did not understand the concept of development. They have a totally misplaced concept of development. They thought that their duty was to just sell oil and share. And it is a tragedy. And that concept has not changed. That's why I was trying to lay foundation. I've done a few things here and there.
Yes.
But what of human development? What of the quality of human beings that top populate the place? After 35 years of oil money, I don't have the figures, but it's stupendous. I don't think that if given those people who have concept of development, that we should have any child in Bender State who say he didn't go to school. I'm an employer of labor. and I see a lot of people, and I'm a father, and I see I see a lot of children moving around, hawking in bed in Delta State after 35 years, hawking. Look, when I move around, look at narrow streets being called roads. They have misdeveloped Delta. But to develop Delta State, we know a road has to start a standard.
That's right. Yes.
To qualify to be called a road. I'm not a town planner, but I have that idea at least.
Okay.
What is a road? You don't just make a lane that 2 cars cannot pass and you're calling it a road. We have a big problem and a big challenge.
Yeah.
That these people need to go to school and learn what it means to develop. And I think it's a mental poison. What I mean by mental poison, I don't mean that somebody gave them poison. They have a totally wrong concept of development.
Sir, permit me to add to your thought. How if we just suppose it with the last economic summit that we had, the governor, all the Delta State government trying to diversify or take attention away from just oil, saying that we have a lot more resources that we can key into to further develop Delta State. Would you not see that as an achievement?
The summit is not an achievement.
Okay.
It's what you do with the summit that matters. Anybody, you know how many conferences Nigerians have been holding? Do you know how many conferences importing people to come and talk? That's not an achievement. If you count the number of conferences that Nigerians have been holding, it should be more than any other country in the world. I can tell you, it's one of the ways of filtering money out. So I would like to appeal to the younger generation of political leaders to key into the concept of development that has brought about development in various parts of the world. Look at Dubai, a desert.
Turned into a city of gold.
Look at Indonesia. They came here to collect the first palm seed to my Benin. Look at how they have developed and are now competing with the first world. What did they do? They developed their people.
Exactly.
You have to develop the people to have the capacity to develop the environment. They are putting development upside down.
Oh, okay.
You collect money and you build a road or build a bridge. Fine. You find that after you cannot maintain it. When I visited one of the secretariats some time ago, no lights. Bulbs, no. When I'm old, I don't see very well. When you are passing a passage, no light, dark. Not maintained. There's no culture.
Maintenance culture.
Of maintenance. No concept of what is good or what something is supposed to be.
Talking about the concept and the ideology that you were able to, you observed how it worked. You deployed it with people who also believed that it worked in your time. 2027 election is coming. What should Deltans be thinking and talking about? What should be the agenda?
This is where the youth, people like you, come in. Because I'm a sociologist. It is very difficult to reform, like stone. It's very difficult to remove it unless you have to crack it and shatter it to pieces. Most of the people of my generation and most of these people in power, I find it difficult to believe that they can be reformed.
Okay.
So our hope lies in a new generation.
That's right. Okay.
When somebody like Omoyele Sowore talking of revolution now, I would modify it and say democratic revolution now.
Okay.
By people like you. And I'm happy that maybe through you are making people to understand that we are having a wrong trajectory. Okay. Let me tell you one of my fears about APC. I know how it was formed.
Okay.
I know that APC was formed by bringing a former military dictator in 2015 to come and fight for a particular cause that is not democratic.
We need to round off now.
Okay, so for instance, compelling governors to give their land to herdsmen is a tragedy.
We'll have to bring you back.
That should not happen.
We'll have to bring
Thank you
back.
very much.
Thank you so much, Chief
Thank
Chris
you so much,
Fields.
sir.
Oh my, it's been intense. First commissioner of heading a service commission.
Yeah.
Yes, in the old
Bender
Bendel, and of
State
course,
Teachers Service Commission.
politician, elder statesman, and pro tem chairman of Delta Obedient Elders Council, publisher, author, social commentator, and human rights activist. Definitely, you're coming back very soon.
Very
For us to
soon.
continue this conversation, there's a lot more to learn from you because there's a lot of wisdom that we can pass on
Lots of
to
wisdom.
I appreciate you.
I've learned
next
a lot.
generation.
Thank you
I
so much.
really appreciate
All right.
you.
Wish you a beautiful day and weekend. Yes, this is still Morning Dew. We'll have another conversation coming up, something you cannot afford to miss. Please stay with us.
Wake up with us every morning.
We'll bring you news at its peak.
Accurate and factual report.
Morning Dew, where every sunrise begins with inspiration and fresh perspectives.
Good morning and welcome to Today in History on Dott TV, where we throw back to important events and personalities connected to this day in previous years. August 28 has witnessed significant moments that shaped Nigeria, Africa, and the wider world. One notable Nigerian born on this day in 1941 was Justice Aloysius Iyorgye Kasinalu, who later became Chief Justice of Nigeria. Interestingly, August 28, 2011 was also his final day in office. In 1969, former President Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe addressed a press conference in London during the Nigerian Civil War, expressing his support for a united Nigeria. On the international scene, August 28, 1963 witnessed one of the defining moments of the American Civil Rights Movement as Martin Luther King Jr. delivered his famous I Have a Dream speech during the March in Washington for Jobs and Freedom. In 1833, the British Parliament passed the Slavery Abolition Act, beginning the process of ending slavery throughout most of the British Empire. Interestingly, August 28 connects Nigeria's struggle for national unity and democracy with the wider global struggle for freedom, equality, and human rights. Those are some of the moments and personalities that made August 28 significant in Nigerian, African, and world history. I am Peace Nwokburu. Thanks for watching.
Wake up with us every morning.
We'll bring you news at its peak.
Accurate and factual report.
Morning Dew, where every sunrise begins with inspiration and fresh perspectives.
Yeah, still in the spirit of Delta at 35. The future is about how well we're able to shape our children and position them to drive the development, sustainable development that we need. And if we do not prepare them adequately, that means that we do not have a future after all. And that is the essence of this conversation that we're about to have on Morning Dew. We'll be talking to a woman of many paths. She has done well for herself in the world of business, but she did not lose sight of the need to add her voice to the cause for child protection and nurturing. She was with us last Friday and she's back again for us to continue the conversation. We have here in the studio the author of Intentional Parenting, Raising Children with Purpose, Faith, and Wisdom. That's a book on parenting. Mrs. Blessing David Aibokifo. It's good to have you this morning on Morning Dew.
It's my pleasure.
Wow, you're looking
again.
radiant. Happy Friday.
Same here.
It's nice
Same
to have
here.
you. Finally, I have someone wearing something close to my
what
color.
you're
So,
So that's making you feel good.
It's
friendly.
Okay,
Yeah,
Miss,
so
let's start from here. We're talking about parenting still. Between the last time you were here and now, what, leaving here last Friday, what were the ruminations of your heart as you went back after interacting with us about parenting and the focus that you should take? Because I know you do outreaches, you keep talking to children beyond your book. So talk to us about what should be the major focus of parents right now. One of the major things we mustn't lose sight of as parents today.
Thank you. When I left here last Friday, something kept resonating in my heart. That is, how do we get children, our today's children, how do we get them on? Like, get them back to the right path. Because a lot of children are losing their identities on a daily basis. In a sense that they don't know where they are coming from. Neither do they know where they are going to. For the reason, one reason that the parents are not intentional. Because I have walked into children outside, roaming around the street, asking them questions like, where are you coming from? Where are you going to? I'm just walking around looking for what to eat. At that tender age, it broke me down that day. I now asked, where are your parents? I said, they are at home, but nothing to feed them. So I said, let me do a side hustle. I said, you're out of school? How old are you?
A boy or girl?
A boy.
Okay.
The child is only 11 years old.
In this Asaba?
In Asaba. A child that is supposed to be under care and nurture of parent. So this now made me sad. And I reasoned so much deeply that there is need for intentionality in our parenting today.
No, let's talk about adoptive parenting. I noticed it's one of the issues you raised in your book.
Yes.
Of course, I also enjoyed that one on challenges that parents are facing in the modern world, raising children in the modern world. But adoptive parenting is something that is there to my heart because I grew up seeing some families around me who could not have children of their own at that point, and then they had to go to some of those places to adopt children for themselves.
Orphanages.
Yes, orphanages,
Okay.
and even parents who were willing to let go of their children, so they adopted. But there's this general perception around the fact that oftentimes some of these parents eventually give birth to their own children, and then there's this challenges that comes up between their adopted child, their biological child, thank you, and then the adopted one. How can such adopted child cope in such situation, which sometimes might turn hostile for him or her?
I think this you have hit the nail at the head, because you see, this adoption of a thing is something that is very deep.
Yes.
Okay.
It's very deep and it's harder than it sounds. You know, when you adopt a child, there's this challenge of acceptance.
Oh, okay.
Because down deep in your heart, you know that this child is not biologically yours. You will struggle
to accept
the
warm up
child.
to the child.
Many people may not know this, but you, the person in question, will struggle with acceptance. Why doing that? You need God, only God, because it takes love to adopt a child, not just to salvage the situation of childlessness, but down deep your heart, you know that you are working earnestly to earn a living for a child that may deny you tomorrow, because there's every tendency that the child will find out the truth and will leave you. Some will stay, some will leave. So you are just depending on God, doing what you are doing in love, sacrificial love at that.
Okay. Now, just to add to what her question, or to bring in a different perspective, why do we adopt children, or why do we even raise our own children? In this part of the world, we usually focus on, when my children grow up, they will now start giving me things. But just the other day, Dolly Parton died, and she left a fortune for people. So, and the Bible also tells us that a good parent leaves a wealth for the children. So are we reversing what should be? Shouldn't we warm up to any child, raise them, just knowing that we're raising people who will build society, regardless of whether they give it back? It's not as if we're not saying if they give back, thank God, we'll pray for them. But shouldn't we focus on raising people who have a conscience, who have a heart to build and to give us a safe society, than just looking at, this person is not even my child, how am I sure that they'll give back to me? What are your thoughts?
Oh, this is another point we need to look into. Presently I discover that humans are becoming more hostile. When I mean hostile, they are becoming more selfish than it should be. Because as a parent, you must be generous to every child. Before now, every mother is every child's parent.
Yes.
Before now.
Okay.
But today, when you correct a child, you see the child walking up to the mother, look at what happened, and the mother will have the guts to come back for an attack. That brings something to my mind. Last few months, a girl walked into my compound just to get something. I wasn't around. Then my husband was around. And my husband walked up to that child and said, "Are you coming from home?" The child said, "Yes." "Then why are you dressed this way? You are a girl. You are not supposed to dress like this." The girl became angry and walked back home.
How old?
The girl is 15 years. The girl told her mom, and her mom had the guts to come back and tell my husband that if not that I know you, I would have taken this matter up. Leave my child for me. Before today, it's not supposed to be so. It's not like this. But today, every child belongs to their family now, which is making the society to grow worse than it should be. No more control outside your home. And in your home, you may not have all it takes to control a child. Are you getting it?
Yeah.
So back to your question. We are supposed to raise children generally for the purpose of societal growth.
Okay.
Then individual advancement, both spiritually, career-wise, and every other wise. But today, humans are becoming more hostile. They need only their children to be better off. They need their children to grow wiser, to grow more special than others. Comparison is one thing. Then we see a mother adopting a child or family adopting children. Then after a while, God will give them their own. Then they will start segregating.
Being hostile.
Yes, being hostile. Then taking good care of their own, leaving the one they adopted, forgetting that it is through the process of adoption that their ways got open.
Okay.
If I were them, I would have taken caution to see to it that the very child that called other children faults to me should be well nurtured.
Okay, so let's take a look at a family that has both parents, they constantly shout, quarrel, or fight. What emotional effect does it leave on the children?
Oh my goodness, exactly what is going on presently. It's very, very wrong, because the child will be deformed psychologically. I've heard stories where female children, most especially, you know, they take side with their mothers.
Females, really?
Yes.
I would have thought that it was the reverse.
No, sometimes you have a
Okay.
reverse case.
Sometimes we have a reverse case. Like what I'm trying to say, a female child, refused to get married. A story ahead though, refused to get married because of the constant bully, constant quarrel, constant fighting in their home.
And doesn't
She
want to
said,
face
yeah,
that.
she said, if marriage is all about this, then I think I don't need this. I don't want to take part in it. Then she have to go through series of counseling before she was being talked out of it. Are you getting it? So any family that is undergoing this, experiencing this, they have to retrace their steps because they are not just causing harm to themselves, both the children and the generation unborn. And God will have them question. Because every child, you are just a steward. A steward. God entrusted that child to you. That you are the biological parent does not mean that you mishandle them. Because they are God's property and you will give account
to them. Now moving away from dual parenting, I want us to look at another aspect, single parenting. And it might not be the aspect you're thinking about it from. I'm looking at it from what we have that is rampant in our society today. I'm talking about baby mamas. Yes, sometimes someone could become a single parent because the partner died, you know, or divorced or something. But we now have, we now have some these days, they don't want to get married, especially ladies. All they want to do is just get a wealthy man who, you know, they have a child through. They still don't want to get married to that man. They just want to stay on their own. They just want to be baby mamas. Would you say that this is messing up with the plan of God for parenting?
Absolutely, yes. Yes. Because in the beginning, it was not so.
Of course.
God created them male and female. And he said, it is not good for a man to be alone. I will make him an helpmeet suitable.
As you talk to us on this, also let us know a few things we need to know about your book, things we must not forget about your book on intentional parenting.
All right.
Just very briefly.
We'll get there.
Yes.
I need to continue with
round
it.
of time. Yes. So you can build it into your response.
Okay.
Thank you.
So he made them male and female, and it said that it is not good for a man to be alone. That he will make him an helpmate suitable for him, because everyone has someone suitable for them. So the baby mama of a thing is just a choice, and is a tool that the devil is using to destroy the world and the circle of marriage. Because a lot of persons are diving into it. Even those that have already married, they just want to deliberately break up with their man just to become a baby mama.
One day this will be a topic. We'll bring you back to talk about this topic. But let's hear about your book. Maybe 2 things we must not forget about your book.
Number 1 is this. You don't leave parenting to chance. Never leave parenting to chance. It's a call.
You have to be intentional.
You have to be intentional. It's a call for deliberate action, and it must be on daily basis.
Secondly, and the second one?
The second one is this, that parents out there should make sure that in all their doings, they should get their children back online.
That's right. We must do our best to get our children back and align them towards their purpose according to God's divine will for their lives. Thank you so much, Mrs. Blessing David Iwokifo, for speaking to us. She is the author of Intentional Parenting, Raising Children with Purpose, Faith and Wisdom. A Sunday school teacher and a businesswoman. Thank you so much for being here with us this morning. It's been a great time this morning. Just a quick one from the ladies as a wrap up. Just quick.
Yes, what you say, that's becoming intentional baby mama, it's when you say it is not so from the beginning, yes, that's really struck because it is rampant. It is rampant all over in the society, and it is high time we also want to maybe call on maybe also the federal government to look into this to see how they can curb and reduce this act. It's an act that is not really befitting for the society.
All right, thank you so much. Be intentional as a parent so you can have children who will make you proud. My name is Priska Abamba.
And of course, Success Benjamin spoke first. I am Ife Arono. Thank you so much for being with us. And this week on Morning Dew, we'll be back on Monday with another bumper package. Have a beautiful weekend. Bye for now.
Wake up with us every morning.
We'll bring you news at its peak.
Accurate and factual report.
Morning Dew, where every sunrise begins with inspiration and fresh perspectives.